as well. First Tuesday of the month, so we're going to be chatting with Nancy from the Eddy County DWI Task Force. Didn't I just see you last week?
You did.
Yeah.
That was a little different.
Yeah.
I have a guest with me today, Eddy Sanchez.
Normally, Eddy, it's the first and third, but we had a fifth. Get a little closer to that microphone there, if you would, please.
Sure.
There we go. We had a fifth Tuesday, so Nancy came in and we just chit-chatted about stuff. But let's welcome Eddy Sanchez. You work for the Eddy County DWI folks. Kind of tell us, first of all, what you do.
Well, I do. I work for Eddy County DWI. I was very proud to start with them. I've been with them for quite a while doing some contract work and finally went full-time. I'm their screener and treatment provider, so any kind of DWIs or anything like that come through, we figure out, of course, what help we can help that individual with, either if we can do something there or, of course, refer them to where they need. So it's an amazing job to be able to work with the people that I'm working with in the county.
Okay, so you did work for the county a bit before you went on full time.
I did.
What are some of the other things that you've done?
Oh, it's been quite a journey. I've been in this county. Of course, I was born in Carlsbad, so moved all over, came back, and me and my wife, growing with our kids up here, we decided there's a need for a lot of things. So I went to school for psychology because I wanted to really start filling those holes. So I've been over a decade working in the community of pretty much any type of abuse you can think of was what my primary work has been, in all ages, and it's been a chore. It's been an amazing journey. I've gotten to work with some amazing nonprofits, of course, here in Artesia and Carlsbad throughout those years, and it's took me in a lot of, I guess you'd call a symbiotic circle with understanding domestic violence, child abuse, adult abuse, and then, of course, substance use disorders, what my primary focus is now. But just to be able to see the symbiotic relationship that they all have together, it was amazing that a lot of people are really tackling one at a time, and I'm trying to help these individuals know there's something bigger there. The drug isn't the problem, it's why you want to use. So I'm helping individuals try to figure that out. What's really happening, what's really the reason why any negative behavior, drug use, whatever it is. What can I do to help myself?
Wow.
And more than just a self-help book, something like that. It really gets into that this is what's been going on, and sometimes for generationals. This has been going on for generation cycles. Where does it start? Where can we stop that?
Mm-hmm.
So my work in the past 10, 12 years has really come together to see all aspects of where we can help an individual help themselves.
So when do you get involved in a situation with a DWI? For example, somebody gets stopped, they fail the sobriety test, they go through the court system and are sentenced. At what point then are your services made available to this particular individual?
We usually get made available right before sentencing. We do the screening, and that's what the screen is for. It's really the beginning of the treatment process if they need that. It helps us understand, does this individual have a problem that's a little bit deeper than maybe a one-time event that we can help them with, and then we can make recommendations to the judge and the court saying, this is an individual that doesn't deserve jail. They need a little bit of help. Let us figure out how we can do that for that person. So we really try to intervene right before that. And I love that the courts now are looking at mental health first rather than jail time. And that hasn't been like that in the past. In the past, it was jail time, go figure out mental health, and then try to come out. And we know that doesn't work. There's really not a lot of help for those individuals, and it's not anyone's fault. We just didn't understand. Mm-hmm. So I love that we're transitioning to, let's see what you need first, and then we can make recommendations to the court to try to get you that help and aid that you might need.
So the court mandates this or directs this, or can the person that's about to get sentenced, can they opt out? Or hopefully they do. I can't imagine why they wouldn't, but is it a requirement that they do have to sit down for screening? I do believe there is some court-ordered things that they would have to do. Mm-hmm. Ourselves, we don't ask for court orders. We just, here's a recommendation. Here's what we recommend. And usually the judge will take that into account and say, well, you need to go do this. I tell individuals sometimes the court order is probably the best thing for you, because now it's forcing you into treatment. And I know you didn't want to come, but now hopefully we can get you to see a few things of why you should be here. And we've had a lot of good outcome when I've worked with individuals that didn't want to be there. I've never
I've never had a repeat offender in any of the work I've done working with them. And it's just that. We want them to see, why are you here in the first place? Why did they tell you have to be here? Because that's an extreme case. It's better if you want to walk in, but of course, if you're told to be here, I want to make sure you get your time fulfilled, because to me, time's precious. And I always tell people, thank you for spending your time with me today. And they're like, I was told I had to be here. And I was like, I know, but to me, it's an appreciation that you're here and you paid attention to me and listened to what I had to say.
Right.
And a lot of people have taken away things from that and have been able to help themselves. I've gone into treatment facilities where individuals were there for 30-day treatment, and I did a 45-minute group session with a lot of people, and I've been told, you've explained this a lot better in just 45 minutes than I've heard ever. And so it's really just, I tone it to the individual. How can I help you? How can I understand your language, your culture, and come into that? I non-biased, non-judgmental like that, and I make sure that I stay universal for that reason, because not every individual is going to understand just whatever I'm going to give you on a piece of paper. They have to be able to understand it and retain it better. So I try to look at all learning styles and see what works best for you, so you can understand this for yourself.
Mm-hmm. It's a daunting task, because, as you said, not all of them are willingly there. They've been required to be there.
Correct.
And you said something earlier. You said usually by the time it gets to a DWI, there's other things that are going on that all kind of add up together to get into that situation. What are some of the things that people are dealing with nowadays that they're having to work through, the situations that are...
The biggest thing I could say is universal is really depression. Depression and anxiety really hand in hand go together. And unfortunately, what we're finding is some of those depression and anxieties for adults happen early in childhood. We call them adverse childhood experiences. And when you've never gone through counseling or anything to get those, sometimes an adult, your behaviors are acting out or taking risk behaviors, and they don't understand why. They just know they do. And they're really not understanding it. It really stems from something in the past. That hurt, that pain never got dealt with, so that depression stays, and it goes numb. And unfortunately, we use substances of any type to numb ourselves from those pains. So not dealing with that, and then coming to me and then finally realizing, wow, you're talking about not attachment with my mom, that's causing this, possibly. Look deeper into that. So it's amazing when I do a life journey with them to show them, let's see where this actually started, versus a Band-Aid of, let's help you here now. I really like to help these individuals dig into their past to understand where it starts. And I do it in a very non-judgmental way. I tell them, I don't care what you've done. We have to understand what you've done, and now you have to understand why. And I'm not going to judge you on that. So I got a lot of people getting open with me because of that, because they know I'm not going to look at them any different.
Well, what led you down this path, this career path? Were you involved in a situation and you resolved it or helped resolve it? Or, I mean, we had a discussion last hour with the chamber ladies, and they asked me, did you think you were going to be a DJ when you were in high school? And I said, yes, because they were talking about career day coming up. So I'm thinking a counselor, a DWI screener, treatment provider counselor is probably not high on a list of career choices.
It was not at first.
Yeah.
I'll admit my teenage life, my career choices from and it wasn't nobody's fault in the sense, but what media, public society kind of taught me because of my cultural and ethnicity is this is the only options for you. So I unfortunately embraced one of those very negative ones. So, but it was involved in my environment, generational. So nobody stopped me. Nobody told me it was wrong. But because I'm glad I have a good head on my shoulders, I wasn't on the bottom level that I wanted to run things. I didn't want to just be involved. So that world I was unfortunately born into. Mother, father side, it wasn't really going to matter where I was at. It was going to be there. Our side is heavy with alcohol use. We own a dance hall, a bar, and stuff like that. And the town my mom and my mother's family side, I mean, it was maybe 1,000 people. So it's a very small town. Depression very strong sometimes when you have nothing to do. Alcoholism was very big. So it's something I grew up with my whole life. The abuse that I took as a child from my mom and neglect, it caused me to go into psychology, because my question was why? How can you look at a child and say, I'd rather have this over you, or I would rather protect my drug of choices over my own child?
Or how do I forget that I have a kid in the back of a car?
Yes,
I mean, I don't understand that process.
That mental aspect. And it's funny, I did take a lot of those. Of course, your senior year, you take all those evaluations. What are you going to be? What are you going to be? And everything said counselor, therapist, counselor. I was like, I don't
Fire
want to do
watcher.
Yeah. I don't want to do that. I took graphic design because I love drawing. And then it was, I didn't like the industrial graphic design because I do a beautiful artwork, and the company could just tear it apart and say, I don't like it, do this. And I didn't like that. It was personal for me.
Yeah.
So I had to think of something different. And I ended up in a group once for something I got in trouble with, had nothing to do with drug related. Went into one of these group sessions, and I was like, you know what, I can do this. I have so much I can help. And I have a different style that no one's ever seen. I can do this and help people understand finally what's wrong. And from there, I just really started taking off from that.
Yeah.
It's been an amazing journey, and it really did a lot of good self-work for me as well.
And so now you're full-time with the county.
Correct.
And for how long have you been with the county?
Right now, I think I'm crossing into my month for full-time.
So you just started full-time with the county.
With them, yeah.
Wow. So this has been pretty exciting for you. Have you gotten to meet a lot of folks with the courts, a lot of the law enforcement folks, just to kind of let them know that who you are and what you're there
and
to
a lot
help
of the
with?
work I did before, they were really used to me anyway. I've been so engulfed into the community and some of the things that we did. I do ride with Guardians of Children, Untitled Chapter, and Harubs. So I've been with them 8 years. So just working with officers in the justice courts from them, and then all the other. I think ASU knows my name in so many different things because of all the different organizations. They're like, you just go see him. Just go to Eddy already. We don't even know who to call.
I met him through Guardians of the Children, and I was part of that.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a lot of, because of COVID, I had to do a lot of telehealth and telemed from the work I was doing. And so we do have a lot of new individuals that I'm excited about meeting and introducing myself to. But it's been a great ride.
So do you have like a goal or a mission, or what would you like to see your position or this office? How do you want to see it benefiting Eddy County?
We don't want to be seen as an enemy. That's not what we are. We're not telling you not to drink. We're not telling you anything negative against alcohol or anything like that. We just want you to understand that there's help, and if we can help you in any way, either there at the house or the county, the house that we're at, or somewhere else, let us try that for you. But we want to stop the stigmatism of asking for help is a bad thing. That's why I love that Suicide Prevention Month's coming up this month, because that's a big thing. I mean, I know as a teenager I had those same thoughts, and it was just because I didn't have adequate care, and I didn't think anyone loved me. I'm glad I waited, because now I have people around me that do. So just things like that, we want to be able to help individuals understand that alcohol has been around for thousands and thousands of years. It's not going anywhere. There's just ways to do it right, ways that are going to get you in trouble. Let us help you understand that. And if you are overly getting in trouble over and over, let us help you understand why. You're not a bad person. Let's just help you understand what's going on with that.
And you mentioned the suicide prevention. Talk a little bit about that. There's a month coming up?
Yes, it's and I putting out some cool stuff from SAMHSA, and it's National Recovery Month, of course, from them. And then we got Suicide Prevention Month from the Suicide Prevention Resource Center is where I grabbed some stuff from. And to me, it's important. It's such a hidden thing that so many individuals, I think, have those thoughts all the time and just don't want to say it. It's a taboo thing to say. They don't want to get thrown into a mental hospital or something like that. And it really doesn't take that much as far as just finally talking to somebody. Just letting someone know, I have these thoughts. I don't feel adequate. I don't feel like I belong here. I feel abnormal, whatever it is. I don't feel I have a purpose. And that's really the deepest thing I'm finding is an individual doesn't think they have a purpose or anyone around them. And sometimes isolation and things like that, when they start doing that, can be very damaging. So it's important to know that there's places like ourselves and like anyone, I believe, in this room, that you can just call and say, hey, I don't feel good. Is there somewhere I can call? And we're going to find you a national hotline. We're going to find you somebody to talk to.
Right.
But I watched the movie The Crow when I was younger, and this little girl was upset. She had an abusive mom, and he said it was raining real bad, and she was depressed. And he comes to her and he goes, "It can't rain all the time," and then he disappears. And she's like, and to me that stuck. I'm like, you know what? And I was not in a good state at that time, and I was like, it can't rain all the time. One day there has to be some sun for me. One day this rain and this cloud over me has to just go away. Hold on for another day until that happens. And like I said, I'm glad I met my wife, made a beautiful family, and that happened. That rain finally went away. My environment then wasn't good, but eventually I found an environment that was better.
Yeah.
So for suicide and things like that, I understand those thoughts are there. You just really need that support and someone to finally tell you you're going to be okay.
And that's important. So during the month of September, we'll try to, if we can get a copy of some of that information, we're going to pass that along through our public service announcements and things like that. Encourage people. Now, does Eddy County have a suicide hotline, or is that being put on by a different entity?
It's a different entity. We have it's an actual, I don't remember exactly what it's called, but it's from New Mexico.
Okay.
So it's the state of New Mexico.
State of New Mexico.
But it's a crisis hotline that we do have.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that really got talked about a lot, especially for kids coming through the COVID isolation.
Right.
Which had an impact on so many people that we're still seeing the after effects, and we're going to see the after effects of that for a long time. And that's why it's important to know that services at the Eddy County DWI Task Force, the services that you provide are out there and are available, and we also want to share info on the suicide hotline and all that information that's out there. So that is fantastic. Glad you're there. Glad you're here doing providing that. Nancy, I think this is probably a service that folks didn't realize that the Eddy County DWI Task Force helps out with for the county.
That's right. And so now you know. So now you can pick up the phone and call. That's all it takes. We don't have to get buried in our doubt and unbelief and the problems that we have. We don't have to go this world alone. There's plenty of people out there that's very willing to help. So just give them a call or call Eddy and go from there.
That's right. And if you wind up going through the court system, sounds like you've got a great opportunity to meet somebody that can truly be of some help to you before the sentencing comes up, and glad you're there doing that. Is there anything else? We've got about a minute left. Is there anything else that we'd like to mention or share?
Well, always remember, like I said, it's National Recovery Month as well, and I love it goes hand in hand with suicide prevention. I usually don't like when they bunch too many national things in one month, but
gets us confused.
Yes, the Recovery Month and the suicide really does go hand in hand because of that. If you're in recovery, you're not using your numbing agent no more. Your suicide thoughts are going to definitely shoot up because you're finally letting your feelings and emotions go. So please, if you're in recovery, make sure you're doing both. Do the recovery efforts, but understand that you're going to have a flood of these emotions. Make sure you have that support behind you as well.
What number can they call to get a hold of you?
At the DWI? You got to just email. I'm sorry. We are in such a new building. I do not know anymore. I was so used to the old numbers and stuff like that. I did not remember the new ones.
So is your office in Carlsbad then?
Yes, we're in Carlsbad.
In Carlsbad.
I know we're on North Canyon. We had just moved to a new building, so that's what I mean. We just changed over.
And I haven't figured out even where it's at yet, so he's further ahead of this than I am.
We will all learn together. So, Eddy Sanchez, so nice to meet you, and
nice to meet
continued success in doing what you're doing, helping out folks that are in need here in Eddy County.
Thank you.
Nancy, thank you. We'll have to bring Eddy back from time to time.
Okay, we can do it. I will.
Always got some cool subjects, so.
I'll just make sure that I write the date and the time.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. I told him he's not ever going to forget this.
I am bad. If it's done quick and I didn't write it down, I tell her it's done.
I know exactly what you mean. So, all right, Nancy, good to see you. See you in a couple weeks.
Okay.
All right.